So, welcome back, everyone. This is a continuation of BlockTalk 2025. Most of what we'll be doing for the next 2 hours is new and different from what we've done so far today. And we really do have an amazing lineup for this afternoon. Just to recap, we have a couple of the most important blockchain venture capitalists in Asia joining us, Hashkey and LIF. We have 4 projects that are amongst the leaders in Asia, Gravity, Galaxy, T54 and Compute Labs, some more established, some less so, all of them operating at the intersection of blockchain and AI in one or other respect in their businesses. And so this is an opportunity to hear fresh voices, but also to learn what's different in Asia. And one of the things we know about blockchain is, in many respects, Asia has driven a number of the trends of the last few years and is very active in many regards. So it's an exciting couple of hours ahead of us. I'll be joined in a minute after I've finished my opening remarks by our head of Asia, Joy Kai, calling in from Hong Kong. And Joy will also share once again some information about the space. So in fact, I see Joy has joined us. Welcome, Joy. But let me just also make the commercial for BlockTalk AI, since a number of the people that have now joined us won't have already heard it today. Thank you if you've already heard it for staying with us. We've created something for our blockchain community that we think should be valuable to everyone. It's BlockTalk AI. It's available on Spotify and Apple so far, and it's very simple. We were a little bit tired of having traditional finance try and cover blockchain in ways that were full of opinions and censorship and other things. So we've had the opportunity to create our own show. It's been live for 150 episodes, if you're not aware of that. And it's very straightforward. One AI scrapes the entire internet continuously for blockchain news. A second takes a look at the news and creates scripts for a show, 15 minutes or less every day. And then we voice cloned Alison, myself, Joy, Tilfra, and Mitch. So we sound like we're presenting the show, but in fact, it's AI clones presenting the show. And then it's posted every day to Spotify and to Apple. The content changes day by day. So what I mean by that is different days have different areas of focus. But if you can spend 10 to 15 minutes a day listening to one of those podcasts, we think you'll find it very valuable. And we listen ourselves. I have to tell you, I find it remarkable that my own voice teaches me things I didn't already know every day. Breaking blockchain news, uncensored, available for free. We'd love you to share this if you think it's valuable to your own communities. So having said all of that, the last thing I'm going to say before I hand over to Joy is a few things about why we're doing this. We're putting on today so that you, the investors, can hear directly from the blockchain community about their current investment strategies. So today is less about what is blockchain, it's more about how do you invest in it and what are the strategies the best investors are using in the space. And then for the rest of today, there'll also be a little bit of what are some of the leading edge projects doing to leverage new technology and to scale up in this new environment. So that's why we're doing it. We're not allowed to solicit in a public setting. So we are not here to raise capital or to pitch you with any particular investment idea. This is purely educational, and you should not rely upon it for your investment decision making. That only happens after you've done deep due diligence and so on. But if you hear about anything today that you're interested in, just follow up and let us know, and we're happy to share more information with you later. We do have a couple of polls that we've been running to give our speakers a sense of who's the audience and what they care about. So Kim, would you just pop up poll one? And as that comes on screen, obviously you shouldn't feel the need to do it again if you've already done it. But we're putting it up on the screen for those people who are joining us right now. So a very simple question: why are you interested in blockchain investing? And if you wouldn't mind just taking that poll, should be easy unless you're driving. Though I haven't actually checked, Joy, that this works in Asia, so I hope it's showing up on the Asian side of Zoom. We have in the past. Yeah, you're saying it is good. We've had some issues before with Zoom functionality in Hong Kong and Singapore. So, all right, so I'll leave that up for a minute. But having said all of that, one of the things we've been doing here at Blockchain Co-Investors is leveling up our own internal team and capabilities. We've added people in London and Hong Kong because our investors, you, are in those places, and we know we've got to serve you on a real-time, in time zone basis. And we're very fortunate that this last year we were able to attract Joy to join Blockchain Co-Investors. I won't tell you everything you need to know about Joy, but we're very fortunate to have her full-time in Hong Kong. And so Joy, maybe before you just launch in, maybe you could say a little bit about yourself and your background, and then Joy's going to share some information that we've been sharing to our other audiences all day long. So over to you, Joy. I'll go off video.
Thank you, Matthew. And hello, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. I know it's very early on in Hong Kong time, and thank you for being here and support us. My name is Joy, Head of Asia at BlockChain Co-Investors. And before joining BlockChain Co-Investors, I spent years in investment banking in Hong Kong, doing very traditional M&A and IPO. And before leaving banking, my last deal was the SPAC launching of Lotus UK, the sports car. So years of experiences in traditional finance have armed me with very solid knowledge of financial products and financial institutions. And I have noticed that the financial infrastructure has to be upgraded overall, which is aligned to the investment strategy of blockchain co-investors. And I've been personally invested in blockchain and mostly Ethereum Bitcoin since 2017 when I was still in school. And this also have leading to the path that I've been pursuing right now. So very happy to join this institution and share the same philosophy and investment strategy with blockchain co-investors. My name is Joy, Head of Asia at BlockChain Co-Investors. So today we have a very exciting lineup for everyone in Asia, and I want to kick it off by going over of some of the key investment strategies and our thinkings for blockchain sector. We're going to talk just a little bit about the basics, like what is blockchain, why is it important, why we should care about it. Then we're going to speak from an investor's angle. There are actually 6 distinct asset classes in blockchain, and each has its own strategy and best practices to follow. Last but not the least, we're going to talk about why this matters today, and where are we in this development, and what's happening in the US, and why should you be leaning in. Matthew, can we show the disclaimer page? So before I hop into the presentation, I do need to show you this disclaimer. It's very important to note that this is for educational purpose only. So do not construe any of this as a solicitation or investment advice. So now we're going to, so first, what is blockchain technology? We're going to page 5. To be very high level here, blockchain is a fully digital ledger for record keeping in a distributed and decentralized way. So it's revolutionary idea because it's basically allow you to have a peer-to-peer transaction or interaction on the internet without having centralized party as an agent. So either a bank or maybe a social media company. So when this is achieved, it unlocks a huge amount of use cases from payments to remittances, tokenization, capital coordination, gaming storage and identity, and so on. So ultimately, you could think that all the transaction in digital economy could be settled on blockchain. Therefore, we have developed our investment thesis as a firm is just as the internet digitalized communications and contents, blockchain technology is going to enable the digitalization of finance and commerce. So which could be the greatest value creation opportunity ever? We often get to asked with the rise of artificial intelligence in today's society, it's on page 7, how blockchain technology is going to play a role in this development. So despite all the positive things we already know for AI and its AI's impact on internet is going to be enormous, is going to be amplified. So the internet is insecure, is highly concentrated on a single point of failure. There's no way to make a native payments across the internet peer-to-peer. And there is no ownership primitives, which means the rise of AI is going to make these networks much more vulnerable to hacks and phishing as well. So next page, please. As we see the interaction of fintech, blockchain, also AI, is leading to a really interesting confluence that we call digital finance. And blockchain technology is absolutely a critical component to upgrade the world's financial infrastructure. So fintech, you could think of it as being the front end. This makes consumer application very easy to use, such as Venmo, Revolut, and Alipay. But those applications did not do anything on the back end. You're still dealing on the back end with a very analog system. And AI as an amplifier of internet and all these services is going to make these applications much easier to use. For example, you might have a very sophisticated AI advisor to give out investment advices, but on the other hand, more exposure to hacks and phishing. So blockchain would allow you to actually repower the backend, build a natively digital and secure financial system where assets, monies, and commodities can be instantly transferred across internet peer-to-peer. So we define the confluence of these three areas as digital finance. This is what we're really excited about, and blockchain is an essential part of this. Next page, please. So as I mentioned upfront, there are 6 distinct asset classes within blockchain, as I laid out here. And we are actually invested in many of these areas. So we can break it down to private investments versus public. Next page, please, Matthew. Thank you. So private investments, generally, we're only available to accredited investors in the US and sometimes qualified purchasers. So those generally are earlier investments, riskier, and eventually they go through all the project stages and we'll have a going public event for both equities and tokens. So once they become public, they're available to everyone and they become much more liquid and tradable. And another classification, equity versus token, is on the next page. So in blockchain, you have basically 2 forms of ownership. Equity is fairly standardized instrument. Tokens are sort of a new form of ownership in blockchain projects. It represents a unit of account on the public ledger on the blockchain. And tokens can represent many different things. It can represent equity, and sometimes it can represent voting right, which can be important to the functioning of the protocol or ecosystem. Or you can use the token to complete certain tasks, for example, to purchase storage, to purchase compute. And tokens have limited standardization. Some accrue cash flows and economic rights, and others don't. And tokens is still a gray area in the US in terms of their legal structure, with most of them being unclear in terms of whether there are security or not. So far, they have not been in most of the cases. Next page, we're going to talk about the classification of tokens. So it's very important to understand there are different types of tokens. So we have CBDCs and stablecoins. Those are payments basically representing dollars, either via a private institution in the case of stablecoin or public institution in case of CBDCs. And you have crypto assets that would be things like Bitcoin, which are essentially forms of money, or at least some of the characteristic of money. Then we have asset-backed. You can issue a token against something like a money market. So, and for more native players, there are also types of tokens that do not map onto the traditional financial product. For example, a protocol token like Ethereum, you actually need ETH to perform a transaction. And utility token, that would be things like a Filecoin where you use this to purchase storage. DeFi, on the other hand, the revenue, it's basically the implication of economic rights based on the revenue stream of the protocol. Then we have non-fungible tokens, which are tokens that are often used to representing a collectible or artwork. So we have public versus private, we have early versus late, and equity versus different types of tokens. So what is the best practice in terms of investing? So as a firm, as an investor or fund, how do we think about this ecosystem? On a very high level, our strategy is that we want to be hyper-focused into invest in digital finance. We tend to focus on very early stage technology investing, emphasizing digital monies and assets. And we want to back the actual technology and secure a broad coverage. So it's really important for us to be highly diversified. As an investor in the early stage, it's very difficult to pick from thousands of projects. So we want to co-invest with the top investors. That's the key part of our strategy. And then when the project gets a little bit more developed, we selectively follow on. Last but not least, we keep investing through downturns. We've been doing this since 2014, so we've seen multiple cycles with high volatility. But one thing is that you cannot just stop at one point and miss out the huge range of value capture opportunities afterwards. And that requires discipline and good entry price and not chase on the valuation. So on the next page, you can see the main areas that we cover. So in terms of early stage equity, we get that covered from our fund of fund model. So we try to invest into 20 different funds covering different areas, give us broad diversification. For tokens, we have a dedicated early stage token fund that is going to buy shares in tokenize the projects. And then we also do a mid-stage investing through a dedicated vehicle, a mid-stage fund. So on the next page, we can see the principle that we've been following for the past decade. That is the power of diversification. So you can see on the right graph here, that is actually the statistics over the 10-year period of general venture investments. So this is probably even more of the case for our industry where this is high risk and high return. So about 65% of the investments give you almost no return, and very small number of investments accounting for less than 5% is going to give you that 10, 20, 50 x return. So for us, when we're thinking about early stage investing, we tend to look for the broad diversification to support a portfolio approach, a power law approach, because it's very difficult to pick winners at the early stage. And we do that by running a very disciplined fund of funds investment process. So we're looking for the top established fund investors, and we want to back about 20 of those in each of our funds. That gives us around 300 to 500 underlying portfolio companies per fund. So in that manner, we're trying to get the diversification across geography, across asset classes, and across different themes within the sector as well. And obviously, we need to conduct a rigorous diligence process on their operation and investment process and everything like this. And we also do direct investments. When we invest directly, there are some fundamentals that we look at. So again, we want to be very thematically aligned. So we don't go into the areas that we don't understand. We're very hyper focused on digitalization of assets, money, and commodities. We are looking to projects that are already backed by the best investors, ideally out of the GPs in our fund of funds. And by mid stage, you want them to have a compelling product. So ideally, they have already had a product market fit and use cases. And other criteria being it has strong revenue model, it's growing, strong management team, attractive return profile, and then you have to start to think about could this company be legitimately IPO? So to go over a little bit on the public side, talking about IPO, although this is not something that we are very active in, but I thought it's important as this could be the first option as an investor that you purchase directly yourself. So for most people in the beginning, I think the middle bucket of Matthew, you can click, yeah. For most people in the beginning, I think the middle bucket is probably one of the easiest way that makes sense. You want to go to any brokerage firm like Coinbase, Uphold to purchase the coins you want. They're very easy to use. They handle custody and all that. And if you're interested in technology and want to learn how to use it, you can actually access it yourself and trade directly on a natively decentralized exchange and custody the assets yourself. And that's the direct crypto on the left here. And if for institutional players, there are some institutional platforms that you can trade on to enjoy a diverse range of service offerings. That's the bucket on the right side. And another way to get exposure that is very accessible is through crypto ETFs. So in the North America session, we heard from the CIO of Bitwise as well. And this is relatively new development in the US and globally as well. So it essentially gives you a Bitcoin exposure wrapped up in your traditional equity-like experience. So where are we today and why does it matter? Are we too late to the development? I think these are critical questions for us to discuss today as well. So the first I want to point out is blockchain is still very early compared to internet, but the development is quite ahead of the internet. Before 1990, there are about 30 years of technical development without any commercialization. And it was not until the late 90s and the early 20s, Google and Facebook, those social media company, are able to actually figure out the advertising model. So in total, it takes about 60 years in till now when it comes to the biggest value creation event for internet. And on the other hand, for blockchain, Bitcoin white paper released in 2008. And now we're talking about a $3 trillion asset class in a span of 16 years. And Ethereum white paper 2013, first stablecoin 2014. So blockchain has been very, very fast. We have hundreds of millions of people using cryptocurrency right now. And we have trillions of dollars of payments being settled every year on stablecoin. We have Bitcoin as now in a globally important macro asset class. But on the other hand, when we're talking about upgrading the world's financial system, this is a multi-decade conversation, and there are a lot more use cases to be unlocked and materialized. So on this page, from the regulatory side, we have sort of a blessing in our industry from things like a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We have very important leadership in Congress in terms of passing the stablecoin bill. We have new ETF proposal coming in for other additional coins beyond Bitcoin. So this year marks a lot of substantial development in our industry. And if you look at financial institutions investing, whether it's BlackRock launching a money market with one of our portfolio company, Securitize, or PayPal launching some of the stablecoin and or Visa getting into the stablecoin business. The list can go on and on. So institutions are investing because in terms of performance, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset class of all time. We can see that from the data in the next page. So for all the investors out there, should really, if you haven't already, gain attention to this. This is something that you can't ignore anymore. It's not just for developers and venture capitalists. It's going to be an important part of the financial system, and I think it's already is. Um, that's why we want to have this presentation upfront just to set a scene on why you should care about this asset class, how do we think about the space, and then where we are. So all the listeners here, you're in good hands because the rest of the today we have absolutely fantastic lineup in Asia's best GPs, all intelligent people who are going to explain different segments in the industry, talking about AI and the intersection of AI and crypto and investment strategies in Asia as well. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our CEO, Matthew Lamoureux, back to and invite you to participate in some interesting polls.
Thanks a lot, Joy, and hopefully that was really laid the foundation. In just a moment, Joy is going to be the moderator for the co-founders of Compute Labs who are with us, Albert and Nikolai, and I think you're going to find that fascinating.